Hi everybody, hope you're keeping well. Welcome back to Get Indie Gaming with me, your host, No More Shadows. I wanted to start the new year by looking into the top stroke best 40 indie titles expected to launch this side of 2017. So with that standing, let's crack on in alphabetical order. Absolver is a stylish looking action combat game where you compete against other players online in real time using various methods ranging from sword fighting to straight up hand-to-hand combat. Battlefield 1 isn't the only game of late that's set within the First World War, with the horror title, Ad Infinitum, expected at some point this year. You play as a soldier trapped within the trenches where your goal is to solve puzzles and escape from the clutches of the unknown horror that's chasing you. From what we've seen thus far, this promising game looks stunningly eerie. Air is a game in which you play as a girl with the ability to transform into a bird. You will fly to explore and experience a world of floating islands, where exploration will be the key to unlock secrets and progress through a story leading you to the end of the world. Ultimately, you will challenge the gods and save reality itself. If sci-fi, city building and management sims are for you, then Avon Colony could be one of your top games for 2017. The beta's available now. Next up in the resurgence of point-and-click adventure games is Beat Cop. The player takes on the role of a cop named Jack Kelly, who, having been framed for murder, is given the chance to try and clear his name. Teased way back in 2013, this should be the year we finally get to play Below, expected at some point on PC and Xbox. If you enjoy narrative adventure stories about people and relationships such as Gone Home, Dear Esther and Firewatch, then there's every chance you're going to enjoy Blackwood Crossing. It's a story game set on a magical train and features two children and their difficult relationships with each other and with the adults in their lives. Simple puzzles are set to litter what seems to be an engaging narrative, all wrapped up within a magical fantasy. Here we have Deformers. This highly promising multiplayer game should be out this coming winter, and started from a prototype developed during the work on The Order 1886. The gameplay puts me in mind of a mix of Rocket League and the likes of Super Smash Bros. Euclidean Lands is an upcoming puzzle game that blends rotating isometric stages, turn-based movement, and stylish presentation. Future Unfolding is an action-adventure game where you explore a forest filled with life both beautiful and dangerous. The world is procedurally generated, where each player experiences a new realm with unique secrets and puzzles. In Grand Values Monaco, this rather wonderful-looking stealth game casts players as Amy, a cat burglar who's just pulled off the heist of her career by stealing from a big-time gangster, Magnus. Unfortunately, he wants payback. The game blends stealth with a smartly designed pickpocketing mechanic that requires players to have a steady hand. Developers Tiny Build and Dynamic Pixels call Hello Neighbor a first-person stealth horror tactical puzzler with sandbox-style gameplay coupled with advanced AI that actively learns a player's behaviour to alter the gameplay. With a planned launch expected in the summer of 2017, this sounds and looks phenomenal. Inner Space is perhaps one of the most beautiful looking games on the 2017 indie calendar. With its pastel colour palette and beautiful artwork, it's an exploration and discovery flying game in development for the PC. Knights and Bikes is a co-op action-adventure game set in a beautifully hand-drawn 3D world. It's about childhood, inspired by the Goonies and Earthbound, and comes from developers who previously worked at Tearaway, Little Big Planet, and Ratchet & Clank. The game's set on Penfurzy, a remote island off the coast of Cornwall where great medieval legends have driven centuries of culture and decades of tourism. This game looks fabulous and is definitely in my top 5 most wanted for this year. A Light in Chorus is a first-person adventure game about experiencing the world through strange, new eyes. Players will explore a submerged future Earth via the contents of a crash-landed time capsule that's loosely inspired by the Voyager Golden Records. Using a proprietary engine, this allows an art style that's entirely made up of particles. Players will transform the mysterious remains of Earth into a vibrant musical landscape, morphing, sucking, and swishing the objects into new forms around them. Sounds fun.
Mayday,
The Long Journey Home is a space exploration RPG that combines the best of classic adventures such as Starflight and Star Control 2 with the replayability of modern roguelites. All this comes within a procedurally generated living universe inspired by beloved modern science fiction shows such as Farscape and Firefly. Fingers crossed this doesn't disappoint. Night in the Woods is the story of May, a cat who's returned home from college to her beleaguered Rust Belt town. Wonderfully rendered by the developer Infinite Fall, the game merges platforming and puzzle elements with story sections, lots of characters and minigames. Night in the Woods was originally funded on Kickstarter, where it raised more than $200,000 and should be launching in Q1 2017 on PlayStation 4 and Windows PC. Old Man's Journey looks positively wonderful with its pastel colours and seemingly laid-back introverted gameplay stylings. This looks very, very promising. Okay, so the last ice hockey game I played was probably back in 91 or 92 on the Sega Mega Drive, and being a Brit, my exposure to the game is somewhat low. This, however, looks a whole lot of fun, with its gameplay seemingly an apparent throwback to the sport before the health and safety people got a hold of it. Old-time hockey, coming early 2017. So here we have another successful Kickstarter project, which is coming to the PC and PlayStation 4. Orphan is a 2D action platformer about a young boy, presumably the sole survivor of an overnight alien invasion. The game is set within the rolling and rugged mountains of Appalachia. Orphan focuses on immersive gameplay, visuals and atmosphere that draws inspirations from the classic 2D games of gaming's golden era. Wonderfully named and gorgeous to look at, Planet Alpha 31 promises to be an atmospheric action platformer tied together with puzzles and exploration that's said to take players to the edge of the universe. Supergiant Games have already made a name for themselves with Bastion and Transistor, but this next project of theirs, Pyre, looks nothing like they've created before. The gameplay is focused on competition, which also includes an online and multiplayer mode. Players control a band of warriors through numerous combat trials. The game promises fast-paced action that plays like a sports title that's set against a fantasy backdrop. Pyre is headed to the PlayStation 4 and PC sometime this year. Here we have Quote, an action role-playing game that's about a world that's all out of ideas. You play as Novella, a priestess of bliss, the god of ignorance, where you're seeking to purify the world of knowledge, wisdom, and learning. It looks a beautifully hand-drawn gaming environment with a dark sense of charm. And you know what? This might be one of 2017's unsung surprises. Up next we have the rather interesting looking Rain World, which is a survival platformer. You play as a nomadic slug cat, which in this game is both a predator and prey within the gaming environment. You must hunt for enough food to survive to another cycle of hibernation, but of course there are other, bigger creatures within the game that have the same plan as you do. Rise and Shine looks set to be the next big puzzle platformer within the indie space. It's launching in January of 2017 as from the team that brought us Plants vs Zombies and Worms. It all looks incredibly fun and is being touted as a think and gun game that certainly has elements of arcade shooters. The game's visuals are hand-drawn illustrations with no tiled or repeated elements. It all looks rather beautiful and is coming to the Xbox and PC. First revealed at Gamescom back in 2013, Rime was set to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive. However, Sony pulled their option on the publishing deal in March 2016 following an almost 2-year news hiatus on the title. Following Sony's actions, Rime, with its wonderful scenery and intricate puzzle play, will now launch on the Nintendo Switch, PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We can expect this to hit the shelves in May. Walking with Souls is a 3D adventure game. The player uses the character's polymorphic scarf to explore a magical environment, solve mysterious puzzles, and overcome difficult platforms. The character's scarf can be transformed into different objects which will help you in your adventure. Headed for the Nintendo Switch, Seasons of Heaven is a new game from Any Arts Production, and it's based on the Nico Augusto novel of the same name. It's a puzzle adventure game about a boy with Asperger's syndrome and his French bulldog. At the risk of making comparisons here, it does kind of look like The Last Guardian. Hopefully we'll find out more throughout 2017. Serial Cleaner is a story-driven, fast-paced stealth action game that's characterised by a 1970s theme and aesthetics. The protagonist cleans up murder scenes by disposing of bodies, covering up bloodstains, and hiding murder weapons and other incriminating evidence. Serial Cleaner clearly takes a humoristic, slightly macabre approach to its subject matter, and on the face of it, doesn't treat itself too seriously. The Sexy Brutale is a murder mystery game from Cavalier Game Studios. It's a Groundhog Day style narrative in which the player inhabits the same day over and over again. It's set during a lavish masked ball where the player must explore a Downton Abbey type mansion and unravel why guests are being popped off one by one. Expected on the PlayStation 4, PC and Xbox One early 2017. From the good people at Kitfox Games in Montreal, we have The Shrouded Isle. This is a cult village simulator that promises to bring a new spin on the city community manager type game. You play as the leader of a village full of cultists, and it's your task to bring them food, shelter, and more intriguingly, human sacrifices. Out in February on the PC. Snake Pass marks a return to the colourful platformer type games of the previous generation. It's the first game to come out of the team at Sumo Digital, and the lead designer is Seb Lees, formerly from the Little Big Planet team. It's expected to land early in 2017 on the PC and PlayStation 4. Star Control Origins is a sci-fi adventure game with many RPG elements set in the future where the player is the captain of Earth's first interstellar starship. One to keep an eye on. From the team that brought us Gone Home comes Tacoma, which sees Fulbright move proceedings from the quiet suburbs to an abandoned space station. The science fiction side of Tacoma promises a compelling story. Players are tasked with discovering the events and what happened aboard the luxurious spacecraft. The game was delayed from a 2016 launch to overhaul the gameplay. Fulbright added more interaction and exploration on the player's part. The story unfolds as players discover augmented reality messages left behind by the missing crew. Tacoma hits PC and Xbox One in early 2017. Added to this list at a bit of a risk, as the info on this game, 1,000 miles out, is somewhat sketchy as to whether the title remains a going concern. In any case, it looks an interesting survival game where you find yourself on a desert island tasked to guide the last 4 survivors of a ship that was lost in a storm through their daily struggles to survive. In this beautiful looking hand-painted 2D world, Unforeseen Incidents looks set to be a humorous point-and-click mystery adventure within the premise that a deadly virus threatens to wipe out the human race. Expected to come out for PCs at some point in 2017. Vampire is a role-playing action title from the Life of Strange developer Don't Nod Entertainment, and it stars a doctor-turned-vampire who must stalk his prey in Edwardian London during a flu epidemic. The gameplay revolves around the vampire coming to terms with their undead condition, and they must deal with being torn between their Hippocratic oath and their newly found bloodthirsty nature. In Vain, we find ourselves as a child stuck in a mysterious world, seemingly with the ability to transform into a bird. Not too much is known on this title, which is the first one from the indie developer Friend and Foe. It certainly looks impressive and follows the same type of stylings as Abzu, Inside and Limbo. What Remains of Edith Finch is a collection of short stories about a cursed family in Washington state. Each story within the game offers a chance to experience the life of a different family member whose stories range from the early 1900s to present day. The game is played from the first-person perspective, and each story ends with that family member's death. It's a game about what it feels like to be humbled and astonished by the vast and unknowable world around us. And here we have it, number 40 and the last in the list of this top-stroke-best-looking, up-and-coming indie games expected for 2017. Worlds Adrift is expected on the PC and is a massively ambitious multiplayer persistent sandbox. Visually, it's stunning. This has to be way up the list of the most anticipated indie game for the forthcoming year. So once again, many thanks for watching. I of course will have missed a few titles from this list that potentially you think should be in here, so if so, please let me know in the comments section below. Again, cheers for coming by. I'm No More Shadows and you've been watching Get Indie Gaming. Please come back soon for more videos. Until then, all the best.